Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Spellweaver. My name is Boltor, and today I wanted to take a look at another one of the new heroes. This is a deck that I've been wanting to spotlight for a while, but things came up, other projects kind of jumped ahead. But at any rate, this is something that I've been wanting to spotlight for a while. This comes to us from The.Vortex, from the forums, and it's pretty much your typical, well, kind of not so typical. It's kind of a spin on your typical soldier zombie deck. This one has a bit more of an emphasis on the zombies, using some of the zombie cards that I got buffed in the last patch, primarily Insatiable Ghoul and Undead Necromancer. I want to throw this out here real quick. I apologize if I sound a little weird or if my breathing sounds off, or, you know, I just kind of, something about me just sounds different. I'm on a new allergy medication, and anyone who, you know, uses one of those knows that when you switch to a new one, it can kind of just make your head feel like it's upside down. So basically the way this deck works is what you want to swarm the hell out of your opponent and then win with Enoch, his power. Use stuff like guards to flood it, stuff like Flesh Sculptor. If you can go turn 1 Legionnaire, turn 2 Infected Survivor, turn 3 Insatiable Ghoul, turn 4 maybe like a Master Tactician, or, you know, maybe an Undead Necromancer, and then go turn 4 or turn 5 double Flesh Sculptor, your opponent can be put in a really painful position because it can be hard for them to deal with that mountain of zombies. And then you slam down a Master Tactician, throw on Blood Feast, and all of a sudden all your zombies are huge and they're just rampaging across the board. So we're gonna go ahead and dive right into the game. It might take us a little bit to find players because participation in the game has been declining just a little bit. That's not a reason for concern. I know a lot of people have been sitting here thinking, oh, well, a lot of people aren't playing anymore, the game's dying, it's on its way out, it's already stuttering and falling. No, that's not the case, guys. We saw a decline in participation, or people playing the game on a regular basis in the summer, because it was the summer. People wanted to get out, they wanted to you know, go outside, they wanted to have fun away from their computer. And since it's the month of September, the same thing kind of happens here, because with some people going back to school and other things, September's just kind of a hectic month for everyone. So I kind of like this hand. I have a 1-drop, but I don't have anything really to follow it up with, so I am going to draw again. We are up against Advanced Neva. This is either going to be mono green or, you know, green, or mono nature dominion. One of those variants. Well, we have guards, which is an instant spell, but it's not really going to do anything against that guy. So I think we just go with the aggression here and play the Sunblessed Priest. Advanced Neva can kind of be a bad matchup for us, just because she can kind of get rolling faster than we can, depending on, you know, her opening hand. I guess she's wondering, or they're wondering, if I should spark out another Elf Scout, because that's pretty much the only move I see them. You know, it's pretty much the only move I see my opponent having available to them. Unless they just went AFK or he's trolling me. So I think next turn we just toss out another Sunblessed Priest. Let's see. If I play this for level, then I can, yeah. I'll play this for level, just throw out another Sunblessed Priest. We're just gonna attack. That's interesting. don't really mind making a trade there because we've got cards like Undead Necromancer, which because it has 3 health can be kind of hard for elves to deal with. So he's got his elf commander, which kind of sucks for us because we don't really have any way of dealing with him. Well, that does kind of help. Oh well, so out goes an Undead Necromancer. We're going to swing in for 2. Which gets blocked because I'm an idiot. At least we gain the 2 life. The game does kind of, or the deck does have a bit of trouble with comebacks. It doesn't have any card draw, and it kind of has a bit of a it doesn't have a lot of removal in the way of spells, so it can have a little bit of trouble coming back when it's behind. It kind of depends on the early aggression, but we'll see exactly what he's got here. So he's going to swing in for 3. That's fine. I like that. I know what we'll do. We'll draw a card. The Rotting Remains. This is speed attack, or no, just attack, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Let's just throw out the Infected Survivor, and we'll attack for 2. We'll hold on to the guards because it can let us spawn 2 1/1s with speed 3. So we could potentially block his Elf Warrior, or more or less it's just Rotting Remains doesn't do a whole lot because it can't block anything anyway, and it's pretty much just more damage on the board. And if there's any way we can kill off some of his dudes and kind of wrest board control from him. Although we can't block because of the Elf Commander. I am just all, my brain is just all full of fog right now. Yeah, they can't block, so but at least it's damage on the board. This won't really do anything because he'll just sacrifice the 1/1, so I'd rather have dudes on board. And he can't do native soil for a while, so we're just going to throw out 2 more creatures and attack. We're really just hoping to outswarm him. We're trying to put a bunch of dudes in play, hit Blood Feast, and just punch him for a lot. Plus, the life gain off of Blood Feast can be really useful. It can really help. And here comes Tree, and here comes Tree, Fae. I think this game is just a loss, guys, because, like I said, Advanced Neva has a rather big advantage in the early in aggression match mirrors, because she can just, you know, as you saw, just go creature. She can just kind of go creature and draw a card for every single creature that she just spams on the board, you know what I mean? She gets to take, or she gets to play a creature, draw a card, play a creature, draw a card, and if the deck is primarily creatures, then all of a sudden, you know, you're pretty much spamming the board. I do have a list for Advanced Neva that I've been working on, but well, I think our only chance is to kind of 3, 6, 9, 11, 13. So, I mean, you kind of saw what this deck can do. I mean, all of a sudden I'm exploding out of the gate with 19 or 13 damage. It's not going to be enough, but, I mean, we're not out of this game yet, right? We're not out of this game yet. I don't know why the hell he just did that. No point in speeding this thing up, considering it can't even attack. Hey, that's fine. I got no problem with that. But now, what's he got? We miss. Whiff on the Divine Offering. I'm not too surprised there. We get to kill that off because our Rotting Remains is deadly thanks to the Undead Necromancer. And I think the Undead Necromancer has really put him in a spot. Like, everything on my board that he wants to attack and kill has deadly now. And next turn we can Blood Feast. So he's at 2, we're at 14, we have a chance to gain life. He really doesn't. So that can attack. That's a 3/3. That's, well, that can kill off our but, and if he wants to kill off anything else, he really needs the he needs to make trades, because this can kill one of our Undead Necromancers, but he can't really deal with, well, he can trade that into an Undead Necromancer. But if he wants to kill off our zombies, he does have to trade, he basically has to trade these two into our zombies. So she takes, yep, we're going to get hit for 5. We're going to kill. Unfortunately, now I think we're in a Well, if we attack with these two, he can block with any number of these creatures. We can gain 4 life, which 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I don't even think makes much of a difference. So I think holding on, I think we have to hold on to the guards. We will sacrifice one of our zombies. And force him to block. Now he can obviously block here, and he's obviously just going to throw the Elf Scout in front of the other one. And I'm continuing to be an idiot because I can't even block his elves. But 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. He needs to not have a swift creature. Like that. But that's fine. Okay, so he's declared his final attack. Out go guards. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So at least we're not dead. Or we are, because, what? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Oh, Okay. Alright, well, so, I mean, I don't know. We'll see what we can draw, if we draw anything, which I don't think we will, just because, like I said, this deck has really no comeback mechanic, and there's that. Well, we got close, guys, but again, the fact that Advanced Neva can basically flood the board and maintain hand presence makes her, or hand advantage, whoops, not against the AI, wrong button, can just overrun, you know, can just outlast aggro decks. So she has a really good matchup against other aggressive decks. And like I said, I do have a an Advanced Neva variant that I want to spotlight. It's coming up. I think I'll do that later this week. Not a terrible opener, but I think we can do better. Let's draw again and get a crappy one. Alright. I mean, it's not great, it's not terrible. So this could be, there are a number of variants. There are a number of Kainu variants out there, so we'll see what he's running. There's a Reanimator deck, there's something like just regular Corruption. Nature, there's like Nature Wisdom. I think there's a Nature Rage version of it running around too. So there's the Nature, so it's Nature Wisdom. And he's putting a, yep, so it's the Reanimator version. Let's see if we can't get something that's not like hugely costed in my hand. Well, alright. So we got off to kind of a crappy start, but we'll be able to throw down the Undead Necromancer next turn, so that at least we can kind of trade into, or kill that. You know, if he wants to block with it, then. And a Disquisitive Spirit. Okay, so he'll just throw that in front of our zombie, but that's fine, because if he's doing that, then he's not doing, and then, yeah, so we want to throw down the Undead Necromancer. I put this in the back. Yeah, I think I put this guy in the back row. So we're gonna attack. If he blocks, great. If not, that's fine because we're getting in for damage. Yep. All right. So he's gonna. Oh, Budsy, you can block. Oh, right. He's just gonna throw the 1/1 in the way. So there's an Antriel in the grave. That's like I said, there's one of the most popular, it's not exactly the best build, but one of the most popular versions of Keanu Reeves here is Reanimator, which I might actually just, you know, play because I really like Reanimator decks. So I might actually just scoop up the opportunity to play it. So we're just gonna throw out a Restless Tombs. This is no reason not to put this guy in the front row. So we could see a Reanimate for that Antriel or Karthos, and there's the Reanimate. So out comes Karthos and kills off our Necromancer. Well, I could do both of these. Hope he sacrifices his Karthos, which he won't. I don't have enough mana to do Tactician and one of the hero powers. If I do Tactician, it would be just Tactician. But, you know what? I think we throw out the Tactician and put him in the back row to keep him from being attacked. Next turn, I can Tactician plus Blood Feast, move this Tactician forward to buff these guys. So I think that's, well, that sucks, but it's nature. I actually wouldn't have been surprised if I basically he has could have engineers and whatchamacallums. So I think we're just screwed by now, right now, guys. I mean, I know I said that in the last game and we still almost won, but make him sacrifice a creature, and if he sacrifices the Karthos, we know he's got another reanimate. Nope. Yeah, and our hand having nothing, containing nothing but shrines certainly doesn't help our cause. But when our opponent had turn 2 Airship Explorer to discard a big dude, and then immediately throw out Karthos, so our opponent had kind of the ideal start for a Reanimator deck, and we've drawn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 out of 20 shrines in an aggressive deck. So I guess if alright, we're just gonna scoop and move on to game 3. No. Although we'll probably get paired up against him. But yeah, so not much that can be done against the Reanimator that kind of gets the ideal opener. I mean, I've played a lot of Reanimator style decks in multiple card games. I played one in Magic, I played one in Kaijudo, I even played one kind of in Yu-Gi-Oh! There are just times where your opening hand is like, oh, discard and reanimate. Well, and a big dude. Well, I just win this game. I mean, it happens. But Reanimator Keanu is something I'll probably spotlight just because he's one of the new heroes, and Reanimator Keanu is kind of the most popular version of Keanu Reeves. Like I said, it's probably not the best. I think the straight up like mid-rangey kind of decks that just seek to get the most value out of his hero power, I think they're stronger. Like, they're just the better deck. But Reanimator seems to be the most popular, the one that the people are playing the most. But so at any rate, well, we'll see if we can find a third game. If not, I'll just you know, call the video here. Not the best showing, but Enoch kind of isn't really the best hero right now. I mean, let's be honest. Really, Keanu and to a lesser extent Elric are kind of the ones to come out of this most recent balancing patch with the strongest decks. So we'll see what we're up against now. Alright, I think I can assume our opponent is playing Corruption, Wisdom, Control. You know what? This is a fine enough hand, I guess, just because we have the Spark, and that means we can kind of get double Flesh Sculptor out real quick. So we'll see what our opponent has. Wisdom, yep. So this is going to be Wisdom, Corruption, Control, so we need to be mindful of that. Luckily, this is a deck I know very well. New Horizons for Corruption, so he'll have that. Hopefully we draw into something that we can play. No. Well, what are you gonna do? This is kind of par for the course for me. So we'll swing in for one. We want to save Flesh Sculptor for a turn where we can play 2 of them, because we play 1, it just gets Noxious Fumed, or not hit by Noxious Fumes, and we get like 0 value out of it. I'm gonna draw a card, get an Insatiable Ghoul. Yeah, let's just play the Ghoul and pass. Yeah, because he's probably going to attack. We'll block with the Infected Survivor, and then the Ghoul will have a dude in grave to eat, I guess is the flavor of what he does there. Depending on what he plays, we might actually just throw out... I think next turn we Master Tactician, and then the following turn go double... does he have another Noxious Fumes? Does he really have another Noxious Fumes? Yes, he does. Oh, what are you gonna do, right? So he's got his double wisdom. He's probably gearing up for whatchamacallit, he's probably just gearing up for Silencer. So with that in mind, let's throw out a Flesh Sculptor. Put her in the back row because we don't want anything to happen to her. And kill off his dude. Now the reason I played Flesh Sculptor here, and try and follow my logic here, he played double Noxious Fumes. What are the odds that he has another Noxious Fumes in his hand, right? He's got 44 cards in his deck. That's fine. I'll just discard the Zombie Legionnaire. And I guess the Noxious Fumes. Ooh, Noxious Fumes. What are the odds he has another Noxious Fumes? Hey, look, Noxious Fumes. So I think what we do is we just attack. Well, he can't block, so there's no chance of us trading there. Do we go Sunblessed Priest, another Flesh Sculptor? Sunblessed Priest... Yeah, why not? Like I said, double Flesh Sculptor can be really hard for our opponent to, or for some opponents to deal with. Now, of course, ideally, I really don't want him to have Splitting Headache or any other discard because I really like the cards in my hand. I really want to hold on to my Master Tactician, especially with double Flesh Sculptor on board. But we'll see what our opponent has here. He's down to 3 cards. 4 cards. Now he's up to 5. So we'll see what he does for... He still has to play a Shrine this turn, I believe. But we'll see what our opponent has here, because he can go up to... Yep, there's 3 mana. Still doesn't have that unlocked. There's a Reflector. It's not something you see usually in this matchup. Okay, so we're going to gain a life. Gain 2 zombies. And here's where the fun begins. This is where the fun begins. We are going to liquefy that, play a Master Tactician, swing in for 7, and then next turn we can Blood Harvest for a bunch of damage. We can sacrifice our Infected Survivor, get 3 zombie tokens. That's fine. I don't mind losing the guards. Power Engineer doesn't hit anything. Power Engineer doesn't hit anything. So let's see what we draw. We get a Zombie Legionnaire. That's actually kind of ideal. Because I think I just sacrificed the, yeah. We'll turn 1 zombie into 2. Swing for the fences. I think we go like this and like this. That way, he can't double block my Tactician at all. You know what I mean? He can't, like, if I were to attack, he could have thrown the 1 Power Engineer and a Spirit in the way of the Tactician. And because he died, we get 3 zombie tokens. Now, the one thing that I remember about playing Corruption Wisdom Control, and I've played that deck a lot, is the lack of like board clear. It has Infernal Tribute, and he could reflect it back. But again, Infernal Tribute, that's fine. I sacrificed, what, 4 zombie tokens? There we go. That's what I thought. Anyway, so that's 3 games with the Enoch token Horde that comes from the Vortex. I like the deck, but so part of me wonders whether or not it's better to just kind of stick with Alexa and kind of focus more on soldier aspect than the zombie aspect. Again, I talked with Vortex about this deck, and it's more or less just, hey, let's see what Enoch can do, kind of deck, you know what I mean? So it's not meant to be like super effective. It was more or less just kind of a proof of concept sort of thing. But maybe a couple changes that could be made. I'm not a huge fan of the Sunblessed Priest. I mean, she's really good anti-aggro because of the life gain, and she's fun, you know, nice to play on curve because of, you know, you just, but she is and she isn't nice to play on curve because, ideally you want to go turn 1, where is he? Turn 1 Zombie Legionnaire, turn 2 like Infected Survivor or Rotting Remains, and then Insatiable Ghoul. You don't really want to go turn 1 Zombie Legionnaire, turn 2 Infected Survivor, turn 3 Sunblessed Priest. I mean, it's nice if you've got, like, you know, you have no real corruption opener and you want to play her turn 2. But I can't help but feel that possibly Plague Vermin might just be better in her spot. You get the synergy with Flesh Sculptor, you know, you're sacrificing him, he turns into a zombie. You get the ability to kill off like an Elf Scout, you get the ability to kill off goblins, you know what I mean? So I can't help but feel that maybe Plague Vermin is a better fit for Sunblessed Priest. And maybe just to give us a little bit more staying power in the late game, maybe a couple Ray of Righteousness, that really would have helped against that Karthos that hit, could have helped against the Antriel we knew was in his grave. Right now, the deck has zero way of dealing with big dudes other than potentially trading with an Undead Hydra. I mean, again, the deck wants to win before you hit the late game, but being prepared for the late game certainly isn't ever a bad thing. I would personally, I would really love to fit in a touch of light, just maybe 1 or 2, just because it's kind of that. I've always been a fan of surprises in combat, which is why I love guards in this deck. Like, there's a card like this that I played back in Magic. I think it was called Raise the Alarms, and one of the things that was super effective about an instant speed token summoner is not only can you surprise your opponent, like they attack with a valuable creature that's only got like 2 health, suddenly surprise, the guards pop out and they trade, and your opponent has traded away an important creature that they thought could pass through unblocked, you know what I mean? The other thing that's really effective about this card is or cards like this is if your opponent, you know, attacks out, you know, just attacks with all their creatures, and you're just like, all right, I'll just take it, then all of their creatures are exhausted, and then all of a sudden at the end of the turn you're like, ooh, I've got guards, and oh well, now I've got creatures that can attack. You attacked out, you have no blockers, I'll Blood Harvest, or I'll slam down that Master Tactician, win, you know, swing for game kind of deal. So I really like this card in the deck, and I'm so glad the change has made it semi-playable. I mean, it's probably still not great because Militia is still a little lackluster, but you know, I'm glad with what's happened with the card. I wonder if maybe a Soldier's Memorial wouldn't go amiss. I mean, I understand that this is much more zombie-centered than soldier-centric, so maybe not, but I've played a number of games with this deck before putting it on camera, and I just wonder if Haunted Cemetery is kind of okay, but I never really found a situation where I was like, oh, thank God I have Haunted Cemetery, I can do this, and then Haunted Cemetery, and just kind of, you know, win that way. I wonder if this deck might be suited just a little bit more being kind of a mid-range kind of deal, putting in a few of the discard engines, like at least Mesmerizing Spirit. Again, I'm just kind of brainstorming here. I haven't tested any of this out. I think Consume Spirit is kind of important in this deck, if only because you want to go double corruption for Restless Tombs anyway, and for both of the Shrine powers. So, you know, paying 2 mana as opposed to 1 for Noxious. I'm not saying not cut Noxious Fumes. Noxious Fumes is almost necessary in this meta with Advanced Ash being so strong. But I'm almost thinking Consume Spirit is almost necessary as well, just because it's -2, you know, -2/-2 to something, buffing one of your own creatures so that you can put, you know, attack for more. Maybe cut the Sunblessed Priest for it. Again, I'm just not feeling the Sunblessed Priest in this deck. She's nice, she's okay, she's a nice 2/2 body. But again, if you play her for anti-aggro, there's Plague Vermin. If you're playing her for like damage, you could go Mesmerizing Spirit instead, get a bit more of an impact out of her. I mean, in theory, it's these two, even though she's 2 level, is exactly the same as Sunblessed Priest, just because you know, you have to kind of attack, or you have to kind of change different aspects anyway to play Sunblessed Priest. And ideally, you're not playing Sunblessed Priest on turn 2. You're playing one of your corruption creatures. And hello, that's the Beagle just forced his way into the studio. So those are just my kind of. Wow, you were just going into town making noise, aren't you, Danny? And maybe Dwarf Musketeer might just be straight up better than Sunblessed Priest because he's a 2/1 ranged. He trades with goblins a bit more effectively than Sunblessed Priest does. Plus, he's a soldier, so he could go up to be a 3/2. So he's like a what's that Dominion creature? Shadow Step or Swiftblade Assassin without the drawback. So I think the only card I don't like in this deck is Sunblessed Priest, and that's it. I mean, I'm on the fence about Undead Hydra. I feel like maybe you could take him out and fit in like 2 Consumed Spirits, or you know, something along those lines. Maybe 2 Ray of Righteousness is. It's again, and a lot of this is kind of up against what you're having trouble winning against. You know what I mean? Maybe put in Ray of Righteousness because you're running into a lot of Reanimate or decks. Maybe you take out the Sunblessed Priest and put in Dwarf Musketeer. This, I was really on the fence about whether or not to include this, just because, you know, you're trying to swarm anyway, and this is kind of like, you can play with 5 mana, you can play this and a Blood Harvest for real, like, you know, uber buff, but I think it's kind of maybe a bit more of a win more. Oh, here's a card that could be really strong. Cavalry Field Captain in his deck could potentially replace the Sunblessed Priest. It would really help in those situations where, like, I had a 2/2 and they had a 2/3. You know what I mean? The ability to trade up is really strong, especially when your opponent doesn't see it coming or can't do anything about it. That's kind of why I said, ooh, I really would like Touch of Light in this deck, just because if I attack with a 2/2 and my opponent blocks with a 2/3, say I attack with a Legionnaire and he blocks with the Djinn Guards, whichever card, Library Guards, that's it. And I'm like, oh no, what can I? Oh, Touch of Light. my dude's a 3/3, eats your dude. I gain 3 life. You know, but that's just me. I'm a huge fan of the surprise here. Surprise! I've got this for combat. You know what I mean? So that's gonna do it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. We are sort of approaching whatchamacallit, the Steam release. The devs have said they're aiming for early to mid-December, but you know, things can happen. And but anyway, so don't worry that the forums are kind of quiet, and that maybe people aren't playing as much of the game as they used to. It's still summer in some places. People are still, you know, spending all their time outside. And And the fall, especially here in the States, is a kind of a hectic time, especially the month of September, with kids going back to school, people changing job schedules, and all around just, you know, weather getting colder and people kind of just slowing down. It's just, it happens, guys. No, I'm not worried about Spellweaver, quote unquote, declining. I'm certainly not worried about that, and I don't think you guys should be either. The devs themselves said we expected a dip at this, you know, at this time of the season. So I think pretty much all games take a dip in popularity or attendance, if you will, during this time of the year. So yeah, I wouldn't worry, guys. I'm certainly not worried, and I hope you guys aren't either. But I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, thumbs up, comment, subscribe, you know, all of that. And as always, guys, may the cards rise to meet you, and bring good RNG to your enemies' enemies.